Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us on Joy Asonye Live here on KAFTAN Television. I hope you're having a wonderful evening. Well, today on the program we will be focusing on post-election matters and everything that's been going on. I mean, a few weeks after the general elections, Nigerians have observed in shock several outcomes and activities that has shown evidently that the political map in Nigeria has indeed changed, and that's what we'll be discussing today with my guest, Comrade Duke Alamboye. He's a regular on the show. He's the National Coordinator, Green Assembly Initiative, and also the National Secretary, Nigeria Youth Organization. So good to have you join us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure once more coming on your show.
Okay, we'll go for a very short break right now and return to discuss in-depthly matters arising post-elections. Welcome back from that short break. Like I said earlier, we have Comrade Duke Alamboye here in the studio to discuss post-election matters. Duke, I mean, we are seeing unprecedented activities. I don't know if it's first in history that we're still seeing political parties clash. I mean, we read it in Rivers State, where political parties clashed in the bid to go get election materials that would enable them go contest these elections or in court. Let's start from there. Rivers State, your state. I'm excited for you to give us an idea as to what is indeed going on there. Not to mention the purported suspension of the party chairman, APC party chairman in the state. So I would like to know exactly what is going on in Rivers State at the moment.
Well, Rivers State is one very big state, of no doubt, where all political attention is, and there have been these fights since Right Honorable Rotimi Amaechi exited power in the state. There have been these fights, struggle for his camp, that is the APC, to gain back power in the party, and subsequently it has not been easy. We've seen the 2015 saga, we've seen the 2019, and today we're seeing the 2023 fight again. It has been very uneasy contest in the state, and you see at every time the elections are over, it is manned by so many litigations, and prior to these elections, issues and so on and so forth. But with the laws, with the present laws and the present practice, like in my own opinion, I've always said that the elections were a little bit better, far better than the 2019 elections. So I was likely not expecting people to go to court to challenge the elections. You see, we found ourselves where politicians, our elites, begin to infuse in our minds some sort of unnecessary progression. Everybody in Rivers State witnessed the elections. Yes, I'm not, like I used to tell you, I'm not saying that totally the election was free and fair, but a greater extent, like in my own LGAs, we sat down, we did our things, there was no fight, there was no quarrel, people voted. Even both governorship candidates, about 3 governorship candidates from my community, they were all in town, and it was so peaceful. We saw pressmen moving around with even the APC candidate. So this election that was keenly contested like this and closely monitored by everybody, I was not, what we are seeing today is what I didn't expect. With the fair facts in my heart, I don't believe that anybody should go to court as against Rivers State election. Yes, there were some irregularities, some push from some LGAs, which is very glaring, but it is not good enough to say people are beginning to gather in front of INEC, pursuing to collect what they call materials for court processes and all of that, certified true copies for court process and all that. So this is what is happening in our state, and of course we have a very formidable. The two parties are very strong enough, and this is what is striking on tension in the state, which is not good for us. I think what is happening is the APC had earlier on written or requested from INEC to get these sensitive materials, and the PDP had come in and to say that okay, there's nothing too wrong to get those sensitive materials, but we want a joint inspection they've laid their claim, they've laid the claims to prior before now,
Right.
where fake results were taken to court for litigation. These are time wasting, resource wasting, and keeping false hope in the hearts of people. So what they are agitating is that they do not want the situation where the APC will go alone to inspect or get those true certified copy. They are also praying to INEC that let it be a joint inspection or whatever collection they want to collect. They are so preemptive that there might be a foul play. So they are also protecting before they go to court to the tribunals. Oh, if you want those copies, we also want. They have said that. The state leadership have said that. They have also written to INEC requesting that yes, these materials are true certified copies. Yes, indeed, we need them, but we are insisting that let all the political parties that took part in this election come together and see to this process, so that to give everybody a level playing ground, so that nobody goes back to say that this is not the material. Even making INEC feeling free and safe in their defense when they get to the tribunal. So I think this is what is going on, and I think there was this clash at the first day, Monday or so, when the PDP the PDP members were at the INEC arena trying to make their request, and the candidate of the APC, that's architectural, went into their midst, and the story were told, but I wouldn't know what aspect. So this is the tension presently in the state, and it's not good for democracy. I think, in my own opinion, to that effect, I think INEC should come out and say something.
Was it necessary for those political parties, I mean the APC and PDP, to gather their supporters to the INEC office? Couldn't this have been done with just ESCOs or executive members or executives of the party in the state? Because it was like it is planned. We know how volatile it could possibly get. Yeah. So when you already come with supporters, I mean, what do you hope to achieve by coming with supporters?
Yes, both parties have laid claim to the fact that they've written to INEC, but I've not gotten a response from INEC. You understand me? They have about 9 days or so to file.
It's time limited.
They're time limited, time bound to file in your what they call this thing. So
petition.
Yes, a petition. So both parties had claimed very vehemently that INEC had not responded to them. So they need to get this thing. So that is that's the push you're seeing, that they are protesting to INEC, carrying placards to say, look, we need these copies so that we can guard ourselves through the process of litigations and all of that. So to me, yes, the first stage of this is a letter writing to INEC, and if INEC had not responded, every political party have the right to say, oh look, we've been denied, or there's delay to the very first step to justice. We're going to court and we need A, B, C, D, Y, Z materials from INEC. We've written to them, they've not. One other way I feel it should be done is go approach the media. I agree with you, the too many representation in front of INEC is causing so much distraction and havoc, as we're seeing it now, and predominantly they are resorting back to the media. Toyokolism in the media, the chairman of the local government who is leading the PDP protest is in the media. So I thought that that is the right place to go to make your voice heard. Social media is very predominant. The mainstream media is there. We would have gone to say, look, or better still, come to Abuja and say, look, we have gotten a request from your commissioner. We've not gotten it, and I think they will expedite actions.
What would be your response?
Rather than these too many gathering at the INEC,
because it was like setting it up.
Yes, INEC is also necessitating that, because till today, this is the third day, if I'm not mistaken, they've not said anything about this protest.
My point exactly. However, my question would be for those who think that, the PDP won the state. Was it necessary to come protest or gather people rather, to the INEC office? Was it necessary? Wouldn't it have waited for INEC to set a date to release these papers, this certified true copies, and set a date for this joint meeting? Was it necessary, or it was preemptive? And of course, when you gather such a crowd, violence often erupts. Well, in Nigeria, that's what's been the precedent for many years now.
We've seen where it's worrisome, honestly, truly worrisome, and everybody have the right to analyze it in his own whims and caprices. However, I think that INEC, like I'm telling you, INEC is the issue here, because we've also seen where elections were held and somebody emerged fourth position, became the governor, and that's because political parties that have won that elections had relaxed to say, oh, we've won, and there was nothing much for us to approach INEC to collect true certified copies or follow up what INEC is doing. Of course, INEC have declared us, and that's what they're going to stand to defend. And going to court, if they are not substantive, evidences, either you're losing your elections to somebody that have not done as much. So I think the proactive movement by the PDP is also not something you can overlook. They are trying to also hold on to their gears, having walked around the states. Like I told you last time, they are the most visible party that went around the states campaigning, and they've put in a lot of the party on seats. They've put in more effort to ensure that they retain their strength, and the governor presently is making history. One of the finest governors that is returning continuity in power. So these are the things they are seemingly trying to guide against, and they want the court process to be as thorough and fair as it could be. So their presence there also calling for true certified copy. In fact, they are saying let's have a joint inspection of these materials.
Exactly.
And to
which
avoid,
is fair, if you ask me.
Which is fair, yes, to avoid this thing. But the other side I don't like is the habit of the fight and the physical fights and all those other vices that is taking place during this approach is what is worrisome. But like you said, that is what we are known for. River State is always. I
was not talking about River State, isolating River State from it, but even the most peaceful states, or considered seemingly peaceful states in Nigeria, very often if you gather people from political divide, there is the tendencies that they would erupt violence. You had mentioned earlier in your statement that you found these elections in Rivers State free, fair, with very minimal hitches. However, in that same elections, it was recorded that there was massive voter intimidation. It was recorded that ballots, some polling units were in want of a better word to use, scattered, where polling booths were scattered and elections were it didn't hold in some polling units. There were several hitches, not to mention even the conduct of the personnel was called into question. INEC personnel who did not appear there early enough, and yet here you are allaying that it was one of the best elections you have witnessed.
See, that's what to call in statistics. That's what to call what they call it, sampling.
Right.
Yeah. So if you want to go by simple majority sampling, yes, I'm giving credit to the just concluded governorship election in my state. We have run election 2015. We saw the intensity of that election. We ran election 2019. We saw the intensity, killings, so many issues in that election. This is 2023, and any sensible person that have seen or witnessed these three elections will join me to say that this is fairest of it all. And going by a simple majority, we have 23 local government, and if there are issues in 2 or 3 local government, it does not justify the cancellation of these issues we're having, litigation issues. However, these are common terminologies. If APC had won, or any other political party, the Accord or whatever party that won, there are still normal languages they will use. Killings, bandog. These are characteristics of elections. But what determines to what extent an election can be cancelled or pursued in court, you also have to sit back to say the strength you will use to go into court to pursue an election that, truly speaking, is not generic. The issues weren't generic. Yes, there are leverage, there are issues, sketches here and there in few LGs. You'd go and contest it instead of reserving that strength to redesign your concept and see how you can criticize government, see how you can follow up bad policies of government, and get yourself ready for the next elections. It will linger a year or so. You will see a political party pursuing an issue, and then they will lose. They will have 3 years again, preparing themselves again the next 2 years. The next 1 year again, they say they want to come and contest and win election. These are the issues they used to have. I think frankly speaking, if this election was anything to go by, it is the best election we've had in Rivers State.
You wouldn't have said the same thing if the PDP had not won.
For this election,
because according to
I'm not talking about a winner first.
Yes,
I'm talking about the process.
It's easier for you to talk about the process that you won from this stance you are taking, because if you listen to the other side, unfortunately we do not have anybody from the APC in the studio right now to also give us that. But if you listen to them, they say the hitches that you're mentioning, the intimidation that you're mentioning in those pockets of local government is enough to sway the outcome of these elections, and that but for those problems, and there were cases according to them as well, I'm just quoting what the problems that they faced, that there were cases where their agents, the party agents recorded, party agents that can be collaborated with other party agents, but the PDP recorded some numbers in vote, but when it came to the final collation and the declaration, it was different. There were irregularities in that. So it's easy for you as a PDP, as a member of the PDP, to sit here and say, of course it was free and fair, of course the hitches were not significant enough. But if you were of the APC and having had what I've said so far, would you have the same stance? I'm not a fanatic. I'm not an extremist when it comes to analyzing issues. It's still me that sat in on this podium or on a platform to say that the areas at which the PDP national went wrong, knowing that I was also a strong participant in that election. I also foretell the areas. The same thing I'm doing. Those areas, those LGAs we're even talking about, that there are these discrepancies, killings or whatever. So who are you going to attribute it to? Are you going to say it's of the APC? Are you going to say this is what the courts? This is where they can take evidences to. So I'm not also saying that it's not fair that they're going to court, but we should check the instance that is taking us to court. How substantive are these issues that we should go to court? Play it side by side, preparing ourselves for the next election. That is my take. Okay. We have 23 LGAs where election took place simultaneously, and then there are issues here and there. Is the PDP not also ready? Are the other political parties, don't they also have members there? The killings they are alleging, who perpetrated those things? These are the things that which should be left for the court to decide. But spreading it on a very rage manner, you will agree with me that we've had for the first time a better election, or even a best election from the previous one. Not because my political party won the election, but because I'm talking as their foundational progression that have been made here, and then the others that are still coming up. See, before you go back, before you go to where I suspect you want to go to in trying to hammer once again that it was the best elections in Rivers State that you have witnessed. You are also a member of the political party. You've played really strong positions in the national of the PDP. I know you are also the zonal secretary of the presidential campaign, and your political party in the national, where your flag bearer, the presidential candidate, is also in court in this same elections that you have just agreed that was free and fair. But your national, your presidential candidate is in court for. So I need you to marry it, because you are blaming at the moment opposition in Rivers State for going to court, having seen how seamless and how very limited hitches was seen. However, your presidential candidate is going to court as a result of the conduct of this election. The conduct we're talking about here, they are two different conducts, also similar in some instance. The Rivers State issue is not about result manipulation. The Rivers State issue is not about connivance with INEC. They are two different things. Because the party in Rivers State, the APC in Rivers State, alleging that there are irregularities, of course, in the election, just like your presidential candidate is alleging that killings and what have you. And I've also said that yes,
it's not a bad idea testing the integrity of that election in the court. It's not a bad idea. But I am saying that in juxtaposition to it, wouldn't it be better pursuing preparation for 4 years? Let me take it back to national again.
Would you also advise your national,
yes,
your flag bearer?
If you look at
because there was, I know there was a protest.
If you look at
Duke, if you just let me land.
Okay.
I mean, there was a protest by your flag bearer. That's Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the People's Democratic Party flag bearer. There was the petition to INEC. In fact, Alhaji Abubakar is asking for a rerun. While people find that a tall order, I'm asking you now, if you had not won Rivers State, if you had won the presidential, would you also admit that all the elections was mad? Because it seems like you're picking and choosing because you did not win.
The same thing that is playing out in Rivers State will play at national. Let me tell you, if the PDP at national are unable to produce substantive evidences to the claim for a rerun or announcing the candidate as it will go nowhere. So I'm saying that these things lies on the so much impact it has in the entirety of the election. You will not lay claim to say because of the general election had lots of irregularities in a particular region or a particular state, you call for cancellation of an election. It wouldn't work.
Are you saying this are you saying this to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar?
The instances they are giving, if it's overwhelming, it will go. And
what would be your take? I mean,
it will. Everybody, every Nigerian knows that the presidential election was far worse compared to the governorship election. So this is not something you contend.
Oh, okay.
It is glaring.
Oh, I'm sure my viewers want to understand where you're coming with this.
Sorry, please. And that is not because PDP lost at the center. And that is because everybody is aware of it. The same thing, they're taking it to Rivers State. I'm not saying this also because PDP won. I'm saying it because if you get the content of the mass they're talking about, if the court pronounces that it's substantive to take whatever prayers they are putting, so be it. But in my own opinion, I am saying that look, this is one of the best we've had. You cannot compare
baby steps, if you would. Now the presidential elections in Rivers State, how would you appraise it? How would you rate it? The presidential elections in Rivers State, the conduct of it all, where would you put it on a scale of say 1 to 10?
The presidential election in Rivers State,
25th of February.
Where will I put what?
Where would you say? How well would you say it was conducted?
Of course, the presidential election in Rivers State, of course, it is peculiar. It's also different from every other state. That election went into itself where you saw the governor. It was aggrieved with the party from Abidisho, and has declared that it was in the presidential election it wasn't going to do anything. So people went into that election, voted in their own volition. So it was
okay. But it wasn't mad with these irregularities. Is that what you would say?
In Rivers State, no. The presidential election was far better. In Rivers State, was far better. There's the allegations of manipulation of result, but these are the things we're saying. The courts will decide all of that. But for to say that it was not, I don't think those things happened. It gave rise to the governorship elections. People went to election. In fact, most people felt that it was going to be as tension as it used to be. But to greater surprise, in my LG, I didn't walk around, but we have the visibilities around the place. We saw instances. We saw current correct posts. We saw correct happenings in some LGs. Of a truth, 1 or 2 LGs there are issues, and we also saw the level of damages that were done to those areas democratically. These things are going to be contested in court. But what I'm saying is that if I were even in the PDP and they lost, this is the advice I'm going to give. Let's forge ahead. Let's see how to do it. But it's a good thing to also go to court so that the court will also decide what an extent of damage it is done and what name to give to it. I agree to that too.
Okay, I would give you a breather there and not pursue this line of questioning any longer. We'll now move on now to talk about, we are still talking about post-elections, we'll talk about the utterances we've heard from aggrieved political actors from all divide recently, because of a statement that was, I'm not sure if it's just a statement, because I read the NBC report or the entire interview. We saw that a media organization was fined as much as 5 million naira. That's because of the interview that was credited to the running mate to the Labour Party presidential candidate, that Dati Ahmed. No, my question is, he is not the only one who has made statements like that. We've heard political actors across political divide make statements that some of us would say is heating up the polity. Now, what would you say people, especially those who are already in court, can do to ensure that we don't heat up the polity and we have our democratic processes less cumbersome?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but from common sense, I think, and experience, I think if you have a case in court, most importantly, you don't even talk about those cases. And it's quite worrisome that politicians are beginning to incite the system, even though their business at the moment is to garner evidences, substantive evidences, to go to court and ensure that they win the case ahead of them. Let's separate the constitutionality of May 29 to tribunal issues. They are quite different. Whether we like it or not, come May 29 this year, the president-elect will be sworn in. And that is because the tribunal wouldn't have concluded their sitting. There won't be any vacuum in governance. In as much as we are pursuing that, people are pursuing that, it is not time to incite words, use words that are so bad in the system. And this is because the final word have not been heard of this election. The court proceedings will go on and on until we get the final say on this. We are not also going to say because the present government the government of President Muhammad Buhari continued or won the case because it was already sworn in, there won't have been any room to give a contrary judgment on his case. We have passed that stage. This is 8 years after that, or 4 years after that. And the awareness democratically is high. The election that was conducted during that time and this one, they are not the same thing. So there are so many grounds at which political parties are filing for the presidential election. So the utterances of the presidential candidates were not too good. The running mates were not too good for national unity, were not good for national security, were not good for national cohesion. So I strongly condemn it, and will rather redirect his conscience and mind or thoughts to getting more evidence. And even if with the fact of the Nigerian content, get sympathy. The utterances of putting out languages to incite violence or what have you in the system is highly prohibited, and is not in conformity with what they are pursuing. They are pursuing the conscience and mandate of the people according to them. So at every point in time, they should place themselves where they will still have those support. If those statements get inflated and then people begin to run into wars and everything, I'm sure it will not like the state of the nation at the time. It will not want, it will not like it. And the judicial process they are processing, they are protecting or pursuing will not also come to be. So there are two different issues: swearing in the president-elect and constitutionally following their court process. They are two different things. So I want to see him calm down. I want to see, apart from him, not only him, also some governorship candidates that lost the election that are in court. We should keep it slow, keep it calm, and ensure that they concentrate on winning the election. Mostly, we're looking at where the judges may be coming up with this technicality of the issues of the matter. So they should rather concentrate on what technicalities that would knock off their case, rather than inciting the system. There is no way that it has been confirmed that the Labour Party won the election. And
that's what where I wanted to go to. I mean, Yusuf Dati, Baba Ahmed had alleged that the Labour Party won, even winning the PDP. And this is the PDP also in court alleging that they have won. My question would be, I'm asking you as a political analyst at this point, if you're a Nigerian who is looking at these statistics that are obviously different. So, the truth is the truth. You cannot change the truth. What would be your take on what he said? He alleged, in fact, when he was asked about a number, he said the Labour Party had indeed garnered over 8 million. And that's the first time the opposition had actually come out with what they term as the true number of votes they believe they garnered. So, and the PDP, although have not come out with what they believe to be the real number of votes they garnered, what would be your take on this issue of who indeed won the elections among the PDP and the Labour Party?
The old issues. As I listen to you, I feel bad. This would
not
have been,
for me. I hope.
Yeah, for our nation.
Right.
Yeah, because this wouldn't have been the issue at hand if INEC had done the right thing in uploading those results as stipulated, as emphasized by the INEC chairman. So it's sad, Joy. I must tell you, it's sad that people are beginning to own up to the election, bringing out results, whereas we're supposed to have results from INEC. I saw during the coalition when Senator Dino Milai protested it constitutionally. He was the party agent, the National Party coalition agent in that of that election, exactly. And it was his right to point out irregularities in the collation. One of it was, please, can we have side-by-side displayed the uploaded results? If I were INEC, even at the state of compromise, we would have left the proceedings, ensure that even in quotes, those manipulated results are uploaded, because it constitutionally stated. Now I'm moving away from party insinuations. I'm moving away from party drive. I'm moving away from party presentation. Constitutionally, how it ought to have been done. Okay. Is what I'm going.
No, because I need you to. I need, before you continue, you must understand that INEC had said they were having glitches on their site. The sites seem to have been overwhelmed. I need you to also answer that it took us a couple of days to even have the collation.
Listen,
to 100%. Because it wasn't something that could have been done. So would you have said that it would have taken more than that 1 week for the collation to happen? And in your term,
if collation have not ended, why was INEC in a hurry to announce results? INEC was not time bound on when to announce a particular result. Nigerians were keen, we were patient, we were there, we were watching, everybody was awake.
You were patient.
If INEC chairman had come to say, look, for the fact that we needed to announce this result, as Dino Milai or the party agency has agreed, it is true indeed. We have to suspend our see, and there are lots of complications in these issues. Uploading a result is different from having it come up on site. What I mean is that if I send you a message and your phone is off, I've sent the message. Whenever you on your phone, you will access the message.
Yes, and that is what happened. So it took us more than a week to even get those results.
So where is INEC having the problem? Is that their server at the time was shut down? So
yes, their server was indeed shut down.
So that those results that were uploaded didn't come to them. If that is the truth, why didn't they wait until their server came up? So these are the issues. However, they are technical. It's not what I can stay here and be judgmental about. They are experts.
I mean, because I want you to understand something.
I'm coming to you. I'm making a drive to your question.
It's taking you a while.
Now, that is the aspect of INEC. Now, if the Labour Party had come up with a statistics. They should hold on to those statistics, how they got those statistics, where they got those statistics, and allow it to roll in a competent court.
Okay.
That is where they are heading to. Nigerians do not need those results. It's the court at this moment that needs those results. So when you begin to do that, you're underplaying or downplaying the integrity and consciousness of the court in their proceedings. So when you begin to do that in the public, and then the court comes up with a contrary investigation, it becomes worrisome. It becomes labeling. So this is where I don't really like those is submissions. Everything you've gotten, you can see the PDP are not coming up with it, because every other thing they're going to do is going to be placed before the court for judgment. So it's not good to return it back to inside the system. So that's the way it pulls up the polity and hit up things in circulation. So it should come down, gather more evidences, make sure that they are pursuing the processes as glaring and are prepared they are. There is not this other issue of criminality about criminality stand on the candidature of the APC. So there are so many issues that come up. It is not the public that needs it at this moment. We've done our bit to go to court to the elections to vote. The court is where we are all praying that God should grant them the wisdom on how to come up with very good sense of judgment. So all evidences gathered should go to court, should not come to the public domain again, so that it will not begin to make people feel bad about the judgment that we're all expecting from the Supreme Court.
Okay, Comrade Duke Alamboye, we'll go for a short break right now. This is still Joy Asonye Live. We'll be back to discuss more. Remember, we are discussing post-election matters. We'll be right back. Welcome back from that short break. We've been discussing post-elections matters arising here with Comrade Duke Alamboye. He's the National Secretary, Nigerian Youth Organization. He's also the National Coordinator of Green Assembly Initiative and a member of the People's Democratic Party. And we had just gotten the conversation to the very unguarded utterances that some political actors often make, and how it is heating up the polity. I'm sorry, I had to cut your thought trend there a bit so we could go for that break. But if you can conclude on what you were saying about how political actors could do better, especially as the polity is already heated up at the moment.
Yes. So what I was saying is there's presently a government in power, and they're also checkmating those utterances as to the effect it will have in the polity. You can see after those statements, it was called for arrest and all of that, and that is because it has breached constitutionalism, understand? And there are things that you don't say, they are not acceptable in the system. So not only him, we should use his utterances as a basis to correcting every other persons that are aggrieved. When you are aggrieved politically after an election or the election, the place to go is to the tribunal. The job to do is to gather informations, very, very vital informations, substantive enough to guide your prayers in the court. You don't have to bring them back to the people to absorb, because it has a negative effect on the judgment the court want to give. Right. And then it preempts also the judgment and the process. You have done your findings, you have your statistics, present them to the court. The court will use this thing and just oppose them with what their findings are and get into the constitutionalism of the matter. And then, of course, technicalities again is there staring at you. Then before they will give their judgment. But I can assure you that it will be very eminent that they will put the nation interests at heart. This case, they are pursuing what would be the nation. Are they going to give a judgment that there won't be in Nigeria again? Are they going to give a judgment that fairly everybody will say, okay, right, this is time to reconstitute ourselves to go into the election again. These are the technicalities of this matter they're going to look at. It's not what you say, it's not what you give, it's not what you, the perception you give to the public, it's what you can present in the court. We've seen cases where the murderers walk free of charge out of court, and that is because you have not been able to convince the court to a large extent of the accusations you are labeling on the person. But actually, they are real perpetrators of those issues. So it is not fair enough, and we shouldn't see more.
I would like to hear your opinion on this. I mean, with several people in court, how would you think the inauguration would go? I know the APC had screamed out of speculations of an interim government being formed. While that seemed to be dying down, we're not hearing so much of it after the Department of State Security, that's the DSS, came out to also agree that indeed there were some people organizing or trying to set up an interim government. What would you think is waiting for the president-elect Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu right now, especially with these people in court?
Thank you for taking me to the pronouncement of the DSS. I tremble a little. I was confused a little. The DSS is part of the government. If there was going to be, or we're going to be, an interim government, it's still this government that would have propelled the issue.
It.
Yeah, yes. So it is actually talking. It was actually talking to itself, and as bad as that could be internally, I want to also thank them externally for bringing out that projection quickly, so that they don't run this country to anarchy as it's been projected. There's nowhere that there's no country, there's no democratic country where you have a president-elect, and because of litigation, tribunal issues, you come up with an interim government. It is not that done, and they have, the DSS proved that they are real local owners of informations, and they sprang into actions and drove that sentiment and that insinuations out of the system. This is what I like about that pronouncement. However, it wouldn't have even tarried to say that they are going to form an interim government. At what basis? Because the tribunal have not started. There was no hearing. There's no conflicting judgment as to challenging the integrity for transition. What is in court is the integrity of the election that has brought the person. Right. So whatever year or whatever stipulated time these cases will go, when once judgment is given and the man is not fit enough.
Hypothetically speaking, the justification could be the polity. I mean, Nigerians were not in acceptance of the conduct and the result. So if, we also have the Labour Party laying claims to having won the elections. We had the PDP doing the same. So that could be justification for that. But my question you have not quite answered would be the kind of cooperation that would be necessary to indeed form a government that would reflect the people's needs. Would we have that cooperation with having the Labour Party in court and the PDP in court?
That's, you're talking about
in an instance where
you're talking about 6 plus 8, that's about 14 million Nigerians will be unhappy with that transition, because Asiwaju is going into government with 8 million voters. So 8 million voters out of 20-something million voters were going to be actually only in support of a transition, having him sworn in as a president. It has no implication. It has no coloration to the process. What is happening is a constitutional obligation that must be carried out. Flags will change, authorities will change, instructions will change, arms will change come 2029. But what will not change is the process that brought him. The challenge will not change. It will continue. But one thing I thought you would have been asking is how influential. That is where the thoughts of 14 million Nigerians are, or is actually going. When this man is installed, whatever, given power to 29th of May,
right?
His ability to stay neutral, not influencing the judicial system for those matters to go on.
I will
as
not.
transparent.
If I ask that, I'll be asking like an amateur journalist. I know that.
So no,
the judicial system.
What I'm saying is
the
that
judicial system should
be
in any society.
I said
enjoy
14 million.
Enjoy.
These are going to be the worries of 14 million Nigerians.
I'm responding to why I will not ask you the question you are expecting me to ask, which is that a judiciary in any society enjoys some level of independence, and no matter who is in government, we as Nigerians like to think that we believe that we will not see that influence on the judicial process. So yes, I will not ask that question, and I will not want us to lead on such a conversation.
What I'm saying is that
but I'm asking you now the cooperation from Nigerians.
The same thing I'm saying. The cooperation you're talking about.
Because this is a government that is setting themselves up now to set up a government, a cabinet, one that should reflect, like we often have heard now, competence nationally, and one that will unify. And above everything, we need that unity right now. So if you have to advise the president-elect who has brought out the olive branch to all Nigerians, what would be your advice to ensure that there is peace and cooperation from all Nigerians?
Yes, unity government. I insist on unity government. When you talk about the Tinubu's administration ensuring that his cabinet is overwhelming, his cabinet is having that unifying spirit we want, does not take away the intellectual capabilities and capacities is looking for. The key words it should be using is unity. There is no part of this country you go that you will not see capable persons that to be in government. So they are very deceptive language when you say you're looking for capacity people. They are very deceptive. The language, if I will advise him, it should be talking about now is unity government, where everybody will be represented. Stop talking about intellectual whatever. This is what they've said, and this is how they run the country to where it is.
However, we had over the years been criticizing such a cabinet that does not reflect competence. I know competence has been a huge reason why we have not seen development in some.
I'm telling you, the same thing happened when Mohamed Buhari came and said competent persons. I am saying that the first word that should come from any president that is very ready, prepared to rule this country is unity government. When you talk of unity government, those attributes also involve capacity, intellectuals. So you cannot say you're looking for intellectual persons and then sideline every other representation because you've said no. What I'm looking for is traders. If you want to look for traders that will govern this country, there are traders around this country. You don't go to the Igbos or the southeast and say because it is traders you've gone there. There are traders everywhere in the country. So the most predominant and favorable language for our coexistence should be unity. So in that unity, what people will need are traders. So the Yoruba bring traders, the Igbo bring traders, the Hausa bring traders. This is how we can form a unified government, and this is what I expect the president-elect to be talking about. I
mean, we have several factors that determine how a composition of a government or a cabinet is.
It's stipulated. Now
we are not seeing.
Talking about this
is a government.
When they want to put up.
This is my penthouse. I really need to play well. When they
want to put up fake tactics, they come up with lots of excuses. What are we talking about?
We're not talking about the excuses. I'm talking about what Nigerians expect at the moment. This is a government that was badly criticized for its same faith ticket. So I expect that a lot of Nigerians would expect that in the composition of the cabinet it will reflect some sort of balance, just so that it does not seem like so apart from the balance, the religious balance, Nigerians are also looking at ethnicity that's been
unity encompasses everything.
And apart from that, we've seen over the years how these appointments are made where it is loyalists, it's a form of compensation where you have worked for me during my campaign, you sacrificed your resources to have me emerge,
yes,
and now it's some sort of compensation
yes,
to have you get there. So all these factors that usually play a part, how would you marry it?
You cannot rule away loyalists, because it is except you have people that are loyal to you, you may not run your government the way it is expected. Let me give you an instance when the new PDP took over the legislative arm. That is what's his name, became the Senate president.
Saraki.
You saw the tussle. So nobody wants to come to the head of a government and risk such habitations. You have to get people that can understand your dream, people that are seeing your aspirations for the next 4 years.
You mentioned the Saraki emergence, because that was
the next 4 years.
Tussle.
The next 4 years, your dreams, your aspirations, and your style, your model of ruling, your methodologies you've set aside, you've set down. People that will understand that. That is what I want to refer. I want to believe that you mean as loyalist. Now, in getting this loyalist, you have to also put predominantly before you unity. Meaning, you have to fetch them in all facets of life, in all ramification. You have to look at them regionally, and professionally. So it is until you do that, not to perfection, but to at least 80 to 90%, Nigerians will be very happy with you. And I can tell you that people are watching Asiwaju to make a great difference. He has been aspersed, he has been insulted, he has been looked down, and he has emerged.
Mostly by members of your political party.
Even though the last statement is yet to come, the first thing he can do, in my own opinion, to gain the confidence of Nigerians is to throw these cards open. In as much as you're getting your loyalists, see how it unifies the country. See how it brings a sort of balance.
Okay, we are really running out of time, so I would like to ask you now. I mean, he offered the olive branch to other political parties. Would you like to see him
it's not about
if you just let me land. Like I said, we're really running out of time, so this I would like you to respond in a sentence. So would you like him to see, or would you like to rather see him get appointments or appoint people from other political parties? Is that something that is visible in our political scene?
Yes, the dynamics of politics is changing. Every political party had claimed that they have one or two things to give to the government.
Despite having been thrown those stones you mentioned earlier by your political party, the PDP and the Labour Party.
Every other political party have done that. So if he finds people that are peculiarly similar to his aspirations and they are willing to serve in his government, I'm not seeing anything wrong in that. In fact, it strengthens the process of democracy. So rather than forming an opposition to the government, perhaps maybe not a strong opposition, and you're called to be part of this, it depends on the political party, it depends on such person to accept such offer.
Duke Alamboye, National Secretary, Nigerian Youth Organization, and the National Coordinator, Green Assembly Initiative, I must thank you for being part of this program.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we will drag you back for more discussions later, maybe next week. But thank you for always agreeing to our invitations. My name is Joy Asonye. Thank you for being part of the program. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Do have a wonderful evening.